Hi, everyone, and welcome to Mindful Chats. I'm your host, Nicole, and I am so excited to introduce today's guest, Sandra Weber. Sandra is a mind and body mentor and the owner of Integrative Bodywork by Sandra Weber in Charlotte, North Carolina. With more than a decade of experience in clinical bodywork, she helps clients reduce chronic pain by rebuilding the connection between the mind, body, and nervous system. Sandra also teaches continuing education courses for massage therapists and leads trainings focused on practical tools for improving physical and emotional well being. Welcome to the show, Sandra.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
So happy to have you here. I have a million questions for you because I don't know a lot. So, if you could just start by letting us know maybe how you got into all of this, like what kind of led you to this work.
So I was a very sick child, had asthma very bad, and I was one of the kids that couldn't run in PE. My doctors told my parents to. I had long hair as a child down to my elbows, and they told my parents to cut my hair really short to keep the dust out of my face so I could breathe better. I was always in an inhaler. So that
Mm.
lifestyle, growing up that way, my parents did the best they could, with the medicine they had and the information they had leading up into my before I was 20, actually, my first appointment with an OBGYN, I had an ovarian cyst that had to be surgically removed. Fast forward, I got married young, had my first child, everything was fine with that. After that, I had another occurrence of a borderline cancerous tumor, crushed my right ovary. So, a lot of medical history that my response to it was I kind of just got mad at all of it and was determined, maybe even out of spite, to be healthier and stronger than what I was told I would be able to do. So, rewinding now back before I had my children, I was just determined to figure that out, to figure out however I could. I just had this intuition to know I can get a little better at least. I can have my symptoms be a little better if I try something different at least. So that pushed me into trying to get as healthy and strong as I could. I also had the desire as a child to be a nurse because being sick and being in need of care, you realize how important caregivers are. So I had a heart's desire at the very beginning to be like a nurse or something in the health field. After studying, learning, growing, and getting as much information as I could, I started, okay, I wanted to be on the other side of healthcare, on the preventative educational side. And again, like I said, I had kids early, so I didn't want to go back to college for another 6, 8, 10 years. So I discovered that if I get my license to touch through massage therapy, number one, I can give people a lot of relief from pain. Number two, I can learn as much about the mind and body as I want and be able to educate my clients, help them with information, and then in a really qualified way, find them referrals for things they need that they're not getting in their healthcare, because that's what I experienced. And that's what now, 18 years later, I see in my career as people are hurting, they're in pain, they're seeing the expert and they're not getting any better. So, with me learning as much as I can about the body and mind, if I can't help them, I definitely have a better idea of who to refer them out to. So, that's my journey into the massage and bodywork world.
I love that. And how far apart were your incidents, like your health issues?
My first, well, I had asthma from a child, so that
Mhm.
and that's if when once you start learning about these things, there's like a trifecta. There's a breathing problem, there's a skin problem, there's a everything's connected problem. My first occurrence with my cyst was when I was 18, and then 23 or 24 was my second. And at that time, when I had that surgery for that borderline cancerous tumor, I was told I would either not be able to have any more children, and if I could, I need to do it quickly.
Wow.
So again, I kind of gave them and just, I'm not believing you. And that was October of the year that surgery happened. And I got pregnant with my son, who perfect pregnancy, perfect delivery 3 months later. So,
Where did that, I don't know, that drive or that resistance come from, do you think? Like, most people, they hear things and they go to fear. You went the other way and said, "I don't believe you," which
yeah.
it's amazing, but so unusual.
My family come from the backwoods of Virginia, Tennessee.
Mm,
They're coal miners, so a hard
mm,
life. I think that probably is a lot of it, because that hard life makes you just, there is no other choice but to keep moving on.
yeah.
And then being surrounded by, as I got out into the world and saw more people, because I didn't know a lot of people when I was younger, going to college, seeing more people, seeing examples of other people like had even worse stories than I did. Again, I'm just using my logical mind and what I see visibly. This person was way worse than me, and look how strong they are. And I would always look around for examples like that, even with marriage, parenting, all of that. I would always look out for like an example, because if they can do it, they're no different than me. I can learn how to do it. So I
Wow.
think, and I just set that as a resolve, because, like I said, if I put one foot in front of the other, I can at least get a little better. I may not be able to be exactly what I want to be, but I can at least get a little better. And then when you have children, I think that was like one of the big pushes. I need to learn as much as I can, because I want my children's story to be different, and I want them to have a healthy life no matter what.
That's amazing. And like in today's age, there's such an epidemic of people comparing themselves to others and thinking that because someone has something, then they can't, and making them feel defeated. And you took it the other way. You're like, they have it, I can, which is the way it should be. So kudos to you for
Yeah.
having that resilience, that mindset, all of that.
I've always had the thought that don't ever, and I felt this way, don't be intimidated by someone else. Like if they have or they're able to do something you want to do, go ask them, because if they're a good person, 9 times out of 10, they'll be like, come on, I'll show you how to do it. So I never allowed, because again, I was so desperate to find out how to be better, do better, get stronger, protect my mind. Whoever was doing well, I would either follow them or ask them and teach me how. And that's how I interact with the world. And I hope people will do that with me. And that's how I learned a lot, like I said, about everything: marriage, life, parenting, who's doing it well. Because
Yeah.
I learned early on, we are all just humans. None of
Yeah.
us are gifted. I mean, we have like physical gifts and abilities and
Sure.
body size and things like that,
Yeah.
but we all have the ability to grow, learn, and be better and do better. So show me who's doing it well, and I'm going to learn from them.
I love that. That's so amazing. But so for a lot of people who are living in chronic pain, they're often told something is wrong with their body. From your experience, how often is pain actually connected to the nervous system and how our body is holding on to stress?
I love questions like this,
Mhm.
because if someone is truly a practitioner of the body, they understand you can't separate out any system.
Yeah.
It's never not affected by the nervous system. One of my mentors, Dr. Perry Nicholson, always says, no system ever gets injured alone, and no system can heal alone. So I
So
don't
true.
care what the precursor was. If it was a car accident, that's a physical event, it is going to meld over into a neurological, into a nervous system, into all of it. Heart,
Yep.
mind, body, everything's connected. You cannot separate them. And that is one of the big problems with standard of care Western medicine, is they separate out body parts and body systems and treat only one at a time with one standard of care thing. And that's where the problem comes in, is we're not encompassing the whole body, mind, spirit.
100%. You're speaking my language. I agree with you. So I fully agree. And one thing I talk about often is how our nervous system stores experiences in the body. So, in your body work practice, what are some of the ways you see stress or life experience show up physically?
So in body work and massage, we're very, our palpation skills, if you're good, become really fine tuned. So one of the easiest ways for me to explain this is when someone lays down on the table, you'll have different presentations of a body. So if everybody imagines a skeleton right now, like you see a skeleton in your mind, you do not see the legs of that skeleton closed like this. In your mind, you probably imagine the skeleton and its legs are separated because the femurs come right out of the pelvis. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So often someone will be like clamped shut, feet touching, knees touching, everything is clamped shut and stays that way. And we've been taught skills of communication and encouragement, and we'll ask them to take their feet shoulder distance apart, because when we create space, we'll open the pelvic floor and make more room for blood flow, lymph flow, movement of the head of the femur. And sometimes someone will get it, it'll register, and they'll do that. Oftentimes they'll say, okay.
They open it and close right away.
Well, they open it a tiny, tiny bit. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we'll go start to do the massage, and we'll, all of this is with informed consent, and we're instructing them about draping and all that. So everything's safe and expected. So we'll take a leg and they'll be properly draped on the other leg. I'll take this leg and I'll try to pull it out just a little bit so I can get to the adductors or hamstrings, and it ain't going anywhere.
Wow.
And I'll kind of shake their leg a little bit and do some vibration or range of motion. And I'll say, okay, just try to relax that leg for me. And they'll be like, oh, it is relaxed. And they're perfectly happy. So chronic tension, a gripping, a constant, like if you picked up, doing bicep curls are great. But if you walked around with a 50-pound dumbbell for more than a few minutes, you're going to end up getting a cramp. So the pelvic floor, the jaw, anterior parts of the body where we protect and we curve in, or we're intimidated a lot. So we teach these postures to our body out of our experience and presentation into the world. We create those habits of the muscular system via the nervous system, if that's how they started. It can go back to an injury of some sort, but that chronic pattern of holding is a lot of what you see, the communication from the nervous system into the physical body.
So it's almost like a rigidity that they're not even aware that they have. And then when you
Mm-hmm.
tell them to release, they can't even release it because they don't even know they have it.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
It takes, I always say that massage is a time for the body to practice being in the state that it should be in. So
Mm.
when we're not talking, we're laying, we're sitting, we're just, being, our body should be able to be in a relaxed state, meaning all the muscles are relaxed, they kind of let go. We have a good full deep breath. I have someone on the table, and because I'm really good at what I do, I can get them really relaxed. But some of these patterns are so ingrained, they're there even when they're so I can get someone to sleep by relaxing another part of their body, and then I'll be working on their arm or try to do some range of motion with their shoulder. And again, in palpation, I can feel when there is a rigidity of bone structure, like if there's an impingement and it doesn't want to move, versus that chronic tension of the anterior shoulder, anterior neck holding on, and that not allowing for me to do a range of motion.
Mm.
So there's a
Mhm.
different feel to that. So yes.
Okay. Wow. It's amazing that someone really has no, like, usually I know, like, I have a thing where my shoulders are always up. So if someone says to me, drop your shoulders, I can drop it. I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry. But it's crazy that they can't even feel that they're that rigid. It's
And
wow.
so it's parts of our bodies that we don't think about. Like some people don't even recognize pelvic floor musculature. It's
Yeah,
not an attainable concept to imagine. So like we know our shoulders and we know what they look like when we're super stressed, and we know,
sure.
okay, stop doing that. We don't understand the pelvic floor. We don't
Mhm.
understand. I'm breathing all day every day. I don't. There's not a problem with my breathing. Yes,
Mhm.
there is, because
Yeah.
I can see on the table when you're breathing, it's all in your chest,
Mhm.
and your scalenes and your SCM are helping you breathe. And I'm going to ask you to try to keep that chest down and breathe through your sides. So that's the kind of reprogramming and education we can bring to people is, touch your sides here. Now expand your ribs out with your breath, trying to get your breath from below instead of up here.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And when someone has been in chronic pain for a long time, their nervous system, often gets stuck in that protective state. So how do you begin helping someone to gently shift that pattern?
The first step often is getting them to understand they can feel better. They can feel out of pain. And for a lot of my clients, they deal with connective tissue disorders, autoimmune diseases, lymphedema, lipedema, old injuries that never healed correctly. I just had a recent client that had a cancer treatment, and this was a decade ago. And part of that cancer treatment was they don't do it anymore, an extreme high dose of steroids weeks before the cancer treatment. And it ruined both hips replaced eventually, both knees replaced eventually. And then 50, 60 years old, added weight, everything hurts all the time.
Oh my
You can't
gosh.
tell these people eat less, move more. It doesn't
Yeah.
work. So
Yeah.
that's where massage and body work can come into play is I can get them in a place with doing body work, increasing blood flow, getting the nervous system to calm down, doing some craniosacral, doing some facial cupping to get the cranial nerves relaxed, and bringing blood to everything in a good long body work session. We get up off the table. Did any of that change? No. I facilitated better blood flow, so the tissue feels better. She has a little bit better movement. She got up and walked around and didn't hurt for the first time in forever. And she's like, I can't believe I feel this good. And I'm like, no, nothing is cured. So don't go out and run a marathon. But to get them to understand, I can actually feel better. And then we start adding little by little, baby steps by baby steps, some different, you know, tools, management techniques to get them to start repeating that process. What did we do in this session that you can do at home now?
Yeah. Yeah, giving like control back to them on some level because at that point they probably feel so out of control in their body.
100%.
Yeah. And a lot of listeners are learning that healing isn't about, forcing the body to change, but about helping the nervous system to feel safe again. So, from your perspective, what does that process actually look like?
It's a big issue of contention in my industry that I have to hurt you to make you feel better.
I
The
hate
public
that.
the public gets convinced of that it has to hurt to get better. Too many body workers operate under that dynamic is it has to hurt for it to get better, and that's completely false. I am certified in Ashiatsu. I don't know if you know what that is. It's
No.
the massage type where I walk on you for the massage.
Oh
So I
boy.
use my entire 165 pounds to do a
Hmm.
massage. I can still put people to sleep doing that. So it
Wow.
is about technique. It is not about hurting you. It makes zero sense if, especially when there's a nervous system issue or an emotional component with the body. Again, there always is, but if that's a big precursor, for me to come in with so much pressure that I create breath holding or tissue tightening or fighting the pressure, a well trained body worker will know how to work with the nervous system. And it is like a dance. If I go in to do a specific technique that I know is indicated for this body part, but that client subconsciously retracts from that method, I back off, I slow down, I go a little bit less pressure, I wait until that body doesn't fight me. So I hope I can encourage people that I know Instagram and TikTok are famous for videos of bodywork sessions, and trauma informed care is one of the new phrases. And oftentimes it looks like beating people up, and that is not
Literally.
indicated.
Yeah,
It's really bad.
bruises. It's crazy. It's
Yep.
really crazy. It's interesting to hear you say that too, that it's like you're recognizing the boundary, but it's like, why do people seek this out? It's like, it's true. It's that philosophy, I think. That-
Well, there has been research on this, and there was a book written, I think it was called Surgery, the Greatest Placebo. And the concept was they did placebo surgeries. So they did placebo knee surgery, placebo heart surgery. They would give them a cut wherever the surgery was, put them through rehab. The outcomes of the people that didn't get the surgery at all were as good or better than the people that got the surgery. So
Wow.
it's almost like the more intense or dramatic or painful the intervention is, oh, I have to get better. Look
Yeah.
at what I went through, you know? So there is definitely a placebo effect of it. But what I always go back to is your method of work tissue informed care? Because if it's not making the tissue you're working on healthier, that's a problem.
That makes sense. And you talk a lot about rebuilding the mind body connection. And why do you think so many people have lost that connection with their body in the first place?
Because we have to get up tomorrow morning and do everything all over again. There's no time to do anything different. I have to keep going. Boundaries with spouses, with children, with work. We're constant go, 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 go. A product, our wonderful environment that we have, but we have to learn healthy boundaries with other people and ourselves. And we have to start to follow a plan that will facilitate the outcomes that we want. Because everybody wants to be healthy and strong, without a doubt. But if we get stuck in our routine to go and do and be for everybody else, we'll never have time for ourselves. I always compare it to savings account or saving for retirement. We all want to have a good, healthy retirement account. If we just start thinking about that at 60 years old, we're in a little bit of a trouble.
Yeah.
So we have to start thinking about what is my pathway to being pain free, to being in a calm state, to not having this anxiety. What metrics do I need? And everyone needs different metrics. Some people need more attention to that than others. Some of us just need to get ourselves called on the carpet and get following the routine we know works for us. We need healthy boundaries with family, friends, coworkers. Finding those outlets to make the pathway possible will facilitate the life that we want.
Yeah, it's almost like people cut off whatever they're feeling to be able to handle what they've taken on. So it's
100%.
it's too much. Yeah. And when someone begins reconnecting with their body, it can sometimes bring up emotions or awareness that they haven't felt in a long time. What do you see people experience when that connection starts to come back?
Often it is it's like the first step in recovery is admitting you have a problem. Just saying the thing and having someone, um, Dr. Deloney always says grief needs a witness. Sometimes it's just I need to say this thing and I need someone to hear me say it and acknowledge it. And that's a great starting point. And from that starting point, how can we help? How can we better manage? Because I have clients that have things that are not going to go away, but we can manage them so well that the rate of occurrence is less and the exacerbation of the problem when it does happen is also less. So it makes it so much more manageable. So getting to the point where you acknowledge the problem, you again strategize a plan of management, then you have better outcomes.
I love that. And that's simple too. So I love
Hmm.
that.
Baby
Um,
steps.
yeah, for sure. So I often talk about the idea of a nervous system reset, where we begin to give the body new experiences of safety and regulation. From your work with clients, what are some simple ways people can begin supporting their nervous system day to day?
I always start with the breath because everyone has access to that. So I love doing breath protocols, short ones, long ones, for holds, all kind. Google, YouTube, breath protocol. There's a lot out there. Everyone has access to it. There is no excuse. I do one regularly that's 30 minutes long, and I have some of my clients that's just I can't do that. It just makes me anxious. Okay, do a 5 minute one. Did you do the 5 minute one?
No.
No. Okay, so now we know tools, and we need to claim responsibility for not doing the thing. 2 minute breath protocol. Don't care. Start. What are you willing to do, and what are you going to follow through with? And again, when I have people that are in pain constantly, the bar is very low. So make it something you are going to do and succeed at. A 30-second or 1 minute breath protocol. Find something you're willing to do and will follow through with. Do that till that's kind of easy. Then take it to the next step. So find something you're ready and willing to do. Do that, and then, like you said, start incorporating new experiences. If you have the availability, you have the financial means, go to a 2-day retreat. If you don't, go to the Y and try the sauna out for a day. Go for a walk in a new place. Get new things into your eyes, into your ears, new surroundings, and make those new, brain pathways start to fire so that your body's like, there's more out here I can do and I can experience. And the circle of friends that you have is going to be very important to that being successful or not.
Yeah, and what you're saying too, it's like consistency also. So many people, it's that all or nothing, so then they do nothing. But if they do something small and they're consistent with that, and I say small in quotes, maybe it's small by their definition, but it's just the continued cues of, safety from doing the same thing over and over. Your body can trust that.
And too often we go too big right away and we put these big things out there that have to happen before I can acquire this. Like I have to go to this ayahuasca retreat before I'm going to be healed, or I have to do CrossFit before I'm going to be strong. I have all these things that are out there that take a lot of investment and a lot of time or are really inaccessible. So make sure that your goals are the get really, really good at the simple things: water, protein, breathing,
Yeah.
sleep, sleep. I mean, make those your goals and write those down, because as soon as we see a standard that we need to follow, then it is our responsibility and our accountability that we have, not the big thing, not the CrossFit, not the ayahuasca retreat, not the I have to get into this one counselor and she has a 3-month waiting period. And when I get to see her, everything's going to be great. Tonight, what's your bedtime tonight?
Yeah, it's like the tangible things you can do right now rather than escaping or doing something that's so huge and not even attainable in the moment.
100%.
And a lot of times I feel like, I don't know if you notice this, but it's the shoulds. Like people have this should in their mind, like I should do this, but if they actually tune in, it's not really what they want to do anyway. It's something else that's ticking in their mind, which is the resistance of maybe
Mm-hmm.
why they don't even do it, you know?
100%. Yes.
Yeah. So you also teach continuing education for massage therapists. What do you wish more wellness practitioners understood about the role the nervous system plays in pain and healing?
We kind of already talked about that one part, the big part of beating out of people their
Yeah.
trauma and pain. So I work on that every class that I teach. Less is more. Like again, I have zero problem with depth and pressure. I will walk on you if it's indicated. That's not the issue. It's knowing how to work with the nervous system. And then outside of that, one of the biggest problems in the massage industry is we get kind of system blind. We assume everything is a hypertonic muscle problem when the reality, the truth in the tissue, is most people are under muscled. So what do we do then? If I am working with someone in their 50s and 60s, they've never worked out. I can tell by the texture of their tissue, the tone of their tissue, there is no muscle mass there. Okay, what am I going to do now? Because I'm not going to smash it out of them. There's nothing there for me to smash. So we need to start looking into more modalities, different ways to again enhance the health of that tissue we're working on and not just smashing everything.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you find that they receive the information? The massage therapist, like, is it like, do you feel that they resist it? Are they like shocked by it?
So sometimes they try to resist it, but one of the easiest ways for me to get them over the gap of that understanding is to do abdominal work on them because almost everyone has something, either a diaphragm, an old injury, surgery, C-section, just tension, and then you add on to that if they have excess adipose tissue, fatty liver, all of that tissue is extremely sensitive. And everybody going after psoas to attack it and heal their hip flexor trauma, you don't even get close to psoas when there's that kind of stuff around the abdominal cavity. And as soon as they feel that tension, it's like, oh, and I'm like, right, right. So a lot, yeah. So a lot of times getting them on the table and working in places maybe they don't get worked on often, and getting them to understand the feeling of no, you don't work through that. You wait patiently. You wait for the body to allow this opening to happen or this increased fluid flow to happen.
Makes sense. And you've been married for many years and raised two children while building your own business. How has your understanding of the body and nervous system supported you through these like different seasons of your life?
Of just so much respect for the power of the mind and the body. And again, to have that ownness of trying to be an example to my children so that they know whatever comes up, whether it's health problems, family problems, whatever it is, if you just keep moving forward and doing the small things really well, you will get through it and you'll get through it better. Because just making it through isn't, that's not living a life of vitality. We're not always going to be happy. There's going to be hard times, but we're going to get, just like with the physical things, the exacerbation of the issue will be less and the time length that it lasts will be shorter. So me trying to be an example and having success. I'm not perfectly healthy. I still have issues, but pushing forward, like what's the other option? The alternative is to have worse problems and more occurrences, be on medication forever that I didn't need to have. So just trying to be that example, trying to have a life where, as I age and go into midlife, again, kind of one of those taking the bull by the horns, because I'm not going to allow midlife to take me out like you're seeing on social media. I refuse. I refuse to let it happen. No one can beat aging, but I refuse to give in to everything falls apart after 40. I
Oh,
refuse.
you 100% are not going to be someone that lets that happen. I mean, there's nothing about your life that has let anything happen. It's like you
Yep,
are so in the driver's seat, which is why you're where you are, you know?
100%.
And are your kids, do they have the same mentality as you?
Yes, very much so. I actually created some monsters.
Ah,
So
they resisting you.
no, 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 no. They're me times 1,000. Like they
Oh,
they
okay.
took they took the baton and ran with it. So no,
Wow.
my daughter is in the army. She's a powerhouse. She's taller than me,
Wow.
stronger than me.
Amazing.
My son and his new fiance both work out together. They prep their food and cook and eat really well, and they got it. They got the message, and they're doing amazing. And they're
I
going to
love that.
continue to transfer on to the next generation. Live well, because
Yeah.
we all have genetic things. We all have there was a toxin load in my family from my family being coal miners. There's issues. All of my children have issues too, but they have learned now, I believe, by watching what they're doing. Doesn't matter. I have control, and
Mm.
that's the win.
Wow, that's powerful. It really is. And I know midlife, as we were saying, can bring a lot of physical and emotional shifts for people. So, how does reconnecting with the body help people navigate those changes with more awareness and support?
We have to make ourselves a priority. Especially as women, we have to stop saying, well, I put everyone else first. And I am in the Bible Belt. I'm a good Southern Christian girl, and that is how we roll. That's what we do. But we need to know that we were created as an individual, and that individual was intended to have a thriving life. So, no matter what our history has been with how we've handled that situation, we have an obligation, I believe, to be a good steward of our mind and body. So it is our role in caring for this being, because it's the only one we're ever going to have, to learn what it needs. And that's going to take some time, especially if you have a lot of extensive health issues, and start doing differently. And again, oftentimes, if not all the time, that requires having healthy boundaries with the people that live in your four walls, because everyone's going to let someone else do for them all the time. We need to have healthy boundaries with ourselves, put ourselves on a schedule. I always say we are just big babies. We can talk and we can make money, but we are just a big baby. Put yourself on a schedule and follow it. But when you start looking at yourself as I first, and this is going into like maybe you need to see a counselor, but you deserve to live well. You deserve to not be in pain. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be vibrant. And you deserve to have a life experience out in the world that's exciting and joyful. Again, not always going to be without pain, not always going to be without hardship, but to get up every day excited to face the day with the management tools that you learn to care for this one body that we have. So the better we start seeing that and owning it and doing it, again, the better outcomes we're going to have.
Yep. I run women's retreats, and the boundary issue is one of the most common problems. People have no idea where to start. Sometimes they don't even know that they lack boundaries. And then it's like they have this fear, of course, of what people will say or what they'll think of them when their boundaries change, but you're right, it's one of the biggest issues.
100%. And sometimes it's going to, like, I think marriage counseling should be a requirement, just like getting your license renewed.
Makes
Because
sense.
we don't learn some things about ourselves or our spouse till like a decade in. And you're like, okay, this is actually a huge problem. And I don't know how to articulate it well. I use this as an example. My daughter was an athlete. I became an athlete. I played volleyball later in life, and I tried to coach my daughter for a little bit. I was like, I think I just need to be mom. So I was a assistant coach. I went to the head coach. I'm like, you coach my daughter, I'll coach everybody else. And the same sometimes with our spouse. Like sometimes it's not a good idea for like if there is a visible thing, like a financial problem or something like that. Sometimes it's not good for us to tell them, you have this problem, you need to fix it, because we're really good at irritating each other. Sometimes it's great to have an unbiased opinion that wants both of you to do well and call both of you, because it's always a two-sided coin,
Sure.
and get outside help. Like, no, nothing's really, really wrong. No one's hurting anyone. No one's whatever. But we do what our parents do typically until we learn better. So if we have an issue we need to deal with, if we can sit down and talk about it, write out our new expectations. Listen, I've been allowing you to treat me this way or do this for these many of years, but I don't think that's right. And I don't want to be treated this way anymore. And I would like it to look like this. What can I do for you to help that way as well? If we
Exactly.
can have those conversations with spouses and children, great. If not, again, I'm always, who can help? Who can help you get there? So it comes down to recognizing the need somewhere And then again, navigating a pathway to get to where that thing is better.
I love that. And I love the taking ownership of your role in it too,
A
because
hundred
there's
percent.
always an element of that as well.
Yes.
So if someone listening feels disconnected from their body or stuck in like some kind of, I don't know, stress cycle, what would be the first step you would encourage them to take?
It's different for everyone because everyone responds to different stimuli. So some people respond really well to going outside and walking. Some people respond really well to writing it down and getting it visible, tangible. Some people respond well to listening to music. Some people have friends that they know when they're in their presence, everything is better and they're better. Some people want to go to church. What is it? What is that thing for you? Make more time for that thing. Tuesdays and like this back when my both my kids were travel athletes, both me and my husband are self-employed, and when they neither of them were driving, it was chaos. I mean, every day, every weekend, sometimes we would be in different states at different club games. It was absolute chaos. And I literally took my own advice and my workouts were on my calendar. If you looked at my calendar on my phone, it would say workout. So if someone asked me to do something, I'd pull up my phone and say, I'm sorry, I have an appointment at 3 o'clock on Thursday. So that's why I'm saying treat yourself like an infant. Put your workouts, put your walks outside, put your meditation, put your church, whatever it is. Try to find 2 or 3 of those things and make it a rote part of your schedule that does not get conflicted with unless someone dies.
I love that. Yeah, it's like you write it down like you would write down anything else because it's just as important, if not more.
100%. Even drinking water.
Mhm.
That's how bad it is for some people.
Oh,
I have
yeah.
to get them to put water on their calendar. And
Yeah,
until that becomes part, like my routine is so ingrained in me, I don't even think about it anymore. It's just what I do. All of the protein and the breakfast it's just bam, bam, bam. I've done it for so long. Until it becomes that, until it becomes like walking or breathing, put it on your schedule. There's no other way to get it done because we all know, especially like I said, when you have little kids or you're caring for aging parents and you're a single parent yourself, there's so many different expressions of that story, but it's all the same. We only have 24 hours in a day. Every single one of them will be filled up with something that is really important. We are just as important.
absolutely. What are the things that you find help you to stay in balance?
I am So when I came through my sicknesses and recoveries from surgery, I put weightlifting and working out as a non-negotiable. My husband was supportive, helped with the kids, got all that on board. And that's looked different for me over the years. For a little while, I loved doing classes. I loved doing all the classes, kickboxing class, whatever class. I loved it. I loved the energy. I loved the music, loved the people. And then, like I said, when I got closer to my 40s, I'm like, okay, I need to start strength training because I know that's the big deciding factor is how strong our muscles are. So I got a personal trainer for a few months that made sure I was doing it right. So the physicality, getting that nailed down was a big part of it. I love doing sauna because I'm a go, go, go kind of person. So I have to put myself in a timeout. And if I'm going to put myself in a timeout, I want it to be productive. So so doing sauna does a lot of good things for your health and your
Yeah.
body and your mind, reduce all cause mortality by 40%. So again, sauna is a big thing. My husband and I really like being outside. So outdoor stuff, making time for all of that. When the kids were old enough to stay alone, we made date night non-negotiable. We would go do something, even if it was little in town, go for whatever, and obviously I'm just really big on planning it all, whatever it is, find it for you and plan it and stick to a schedule. And
Yeah.
that's what I've done my whole life.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, because we're able to stick to a schedule for many things, but why not for
Hmm.
ourselves? So,
Exactly.
and finally, where can listeners learn more about your work and explore the trainings and education that you offer?
Instagram, Facebook, my website, the Sandra Weber on Instagram, Facebook, Sandra Weber, my name. Integrative Bodywork is my website. And then I have a podcast, the Relentless Podcast, that I do a couple episodes here and there. It's really hard for me to find people in the health space that are qualified and on the same page as me. But when I do an episode that will hopefully help educate people and get them that information. And I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina for anybody local to the area. So
Love that. So, if this episode helped you to see chronic pain through a new lens, be sure to check out Sandra's work at Integrative Bodywork, as she just said, and explore our nervous system reset resources for deeper support. It was really such a pleasure to talk to you. I love speaking to somebody who's empowered by circumstances, not held back, and who
Yeah.
not only you forging a path, but you're like leading others to find theirs too. And I just think it's wonderful. So, thank you so much for
Awesome.
sharing all your insight and taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, thank you. And to all the listeners, thank you so much for tuning in and have a beautiful day.